Lifestyle Pirates with Big J and Adriano.
All right, welcome to Lifestyle Pirates, Damian Gelle from T1000.
You didn't like that, did you?
No,
I did actually. You pronounced it correctly. So,
okay.
Thank you very much. So from T1000 Events, doing events like Electric Gardens and SW4.
yeah,
First up, name T1000. Big Terminator fan?
big movie fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thought behind that was doing killer events. No, it was more than that. It was. I mean, that guy, you want him working for you, don't you?
Yeah.
You wouldn't want
on
him
your side.
You wouldn't want him after you for ticket money, would you?
No, definitely not.
And yeah, it was just, it was a landmark film, wasn't it? And I just thought T1000 Events, and something's kind of stick, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. Awesome.
Well, you'd be surprised how many people don't know the reference.
Really?
Oh, loads of people.
Horrible.
And then you get someone like, you go to a bank and, you're doing some transaction, someone looks up and goes, hey, T1000, Terminator. You're like, yeah, oh, you get it.
Yeah, that's me. Bit older now, but
Got to be a movie geek.
So nice. So SW4, massive event. I actually went in 2011 to the Anjuna Beats stage. Was amazing then. Back when Anjuna Beats was a pinnacle for me. But yeah, so how do you get to SW4? Like, where do you start out in those events? Like, did you start out small raves or what's the sit show?
Well, we started in the backyard.
Yeah, so it was brilliant.
Yeah, it was a backyard party.
Yes.
Which has become, there's photos of that backyard party, and there's a lot of reference points to it from the people that were there that became the first clubbers that came to South West 4. But we had a backyard rave pretty much. Yeah. It was number 1 Second Ave Walthamstow. So anyone's out there wants to actually, the house is just being refurbed now. So it was a house that we're renovating.
Yeah.
And we just finished paving the backyard. It was a fairly decent summer for Britain. And we were in the middle of going out clubbing a lot, and the first club I went to was in 1998, and it was this was perfect space to throw a rave.
Yeah,
and
100%.
And we did a guy kind of, one of the workers there said, you've been going on about this for long enough. Why don't you have a crack at it?
Yeah.
And the next thing, there was a full-blown rave in a Walthamstow backyard, middle of a Saturday afternoon. Yeah. With the police and environmental health and all the neighbours all over us, trying to shut us down. Yeah. So, story of my life. Yeah. People trying to shut me down.
I know them feels, mate. Don't worry, I know them feels.
What took you to the UK? Because you're originally from Perth, is that right?
Originally from Perth, and I kind of miss that window where the Australians take to go travel. Like they go straight after school. Well, back in my day, anyway. I think now it seems that the kids go for a shorter. They'll go and they'll do 2 weeks, almost like Kentucky. They'll do 2 weeks in London. I did a week in Croatia. I visited IB. They come back home. It's like, that's not. No. There was a mass exodus. It used to be, you had that 2-year working visa in London, and so you go there and you travel. You go and see everything that you can, and I miss that. All my friends went and did Running the Bulls, and a lot of them stayed over there. And then when a lot of them started coming back, I went off to uni and did a degree. I came out, there was no work. There was a recession. I was trying to become a journalist, and there was nothing. And I was thinking, well, what the fuck am I staying around here? So I'm going to go. So I sold everything. Yeah. I sold my car. I kept my vinyl records. And back then I wasn't into rave at all. I wasn't into, I was more into Oz rock. Yeah. Everything was going to see bands. It's all about live music. And, I still dig that.
Yeah.
And then it was, I literally turned around to my mum and said, I'm going to go. I'm out of here. And I was gone within 2 weeks. And I came back 6 years later. It was meant to be a 6-month trip.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And I wasn't even meant to go to the UK. I went to the US 6 months, and then I kind of got to New York, and I'd maxed out all the credit cards and thought I can get a 2-year visa there. I reckon I can bullshit this. Get a 2-year visa in Britain. Flew into London, and the rest was, the thing is, I nearly left within a week. It was freezing cold. Central Line was down. It was snowing, and that
was probably summer, right?
Yeah. the thick of summer. It was actually November, and it was one of those bitter cold winters. And I was like, I could go back this. I could take the easy path, and I could go back home. I could go back to Perth and get back down to Scarborough Beach. But there was something that held me there. And I guess the lesson we learned is that it just staying at something, sticking at something, and just seeing where that path goes. And I always advocate travel to anyone because you just don't know where you're going to end up. And so went to London and started working there. And there's just so much opportunity there. Yeah. And I did 18 years in London, so I swear by it. I think for me it's the centre of the world.
Yeah. So what did you do when you landed in London? What did you do for work?
That's an interesting one because I landed and I was so skint that I got a job at Harrods doing just a menial sort of job, and they're just about to come into the Christmas period, and then it was like German measles or the mumps, some kind of pandemic that we've already had. Yeah. And I was just covered in it, head to toe. It was just everywhere, and your eyelids, and I so lost that job. Yeah. And then so I had another period of all through that Christmas where no one was hiring because everything shuts down. Mm-hmm. I came out the other end, then I'm even more skint, and I was relying on a bit of money. I'm just hemorrhaging credit cards, and I ended up getting a job as a security guard for a company called Sabre Watch, and I was on £4.69 an hour, and working 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week, and that ended up becoming a pretty fun job. From chasing shoplifters to down Oxford Street to working at Polygram International, where I got to meet a lot of superstars and stuff and mega stars, and then went and finished off at Publicis, an advertising agency. So I ended up doing 6 years of that, and a lot of hours. And this is where I saved money for the first house, first property that I bought in London, where the first rave was in the second property. Yeah, and that's where that all came from. So there was, I ended up diversifying from there.
So I got to ask, what was the headline on the first rave? Who was the headliner?
Well, back then I was into hard dance and proper banging tunes. And I was a guy called Grant Thompson, who he's a good friend, and he lives in Brisbane now, and he was part of the Solid Sunday fraternity. He was one of the residents there. Now, Solid Sunday was a party in Harlesden, which was probably like walking into the Titty Twister. It was just it was a reason that our party, which was called Heat UK at the time, the reason why that started was because I walked in there one Sunday and I thought this vibe, it was just so infectious. To top off your weekend, it was the ultimate Sunday session. Yeah. It was like this old barn. I think it ended up becoming a strip joint, something like that. But this kind of, it had like this altar with a DJ on it, and it was, it was pretty crude, but a banging sound system. You could look down on the DJ, seeing the mixing, and it was just like this altar with the crowd, and just this, this magnetic energy that you get from live music. And I remember a girl said to me, I hadn't been, this girl said, I said, why do you go to Solid Sunday? And she said to me, and I used it as a log line for a heat event, and she just said, the people, the venue, the music. And I thought, well, I've got to check this out. Yeah. And I went there, and it blew my mind. Yeah. And there's a lot of these nostalgic groups. There's one called Lockdown Legends, which is just fired up. There's 10,000 people on the platform now, and the people in that were in those clusters that were clubbing back then. And so Grant was the first guy, and he came and played that backyard. Yeah. And I didn't know how to book a DJ. Yeah. I didn't know how to set up the equipment. I didn't know anything. Yeah. And I was just, let's throw a rave. Yeah. And that's the thing, you've got to start somewhere. Yeah, 100%. And a small step can lead to something that's, which becomes a festival.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to picture this backyard. How many people are we talking?
Probably about 150 people.
Wow.
Just squeezed into a backyard.
In London?
Yeah. Yeah. Heaving. Yeah. Security guard as well.
Nice. Well, you would have had connections there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it was like a $5 on the door, I think, just to pay for the cleanup. Yeah. Pay off the cops. No, it was none of that. It was but yeah, they tried to shut it down and everything, and we did two at that house, two backyard parties. Yeah. Before we ended up taking, because it was called Heat. Yeah. It wasn't just a backyard party. It actually had a name. It had a flyer. Because Heat was my favourite film at the time with Pacino and De Niro. Yeah. So I thought Heat. There was parties like Frantic, there was Fever, there was just these great parties which all the Antipodeans were going to. Yeah. And, Yeah, so we promoted it like a proper party, but we didn't know how to promote. We handed out, I think, like 20 flyers. It was just all your mates, all mucking in.
Yeah.
And then everyone came over. There was no barbecue, I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
There was no eating, plenty of drinking, and plenty of mad behaviour. And then from there we moved to a club.
Yeah. Did your neighbours like you?
Neighbours have always hated me.
Did you invite them?
No, neighbours hate me. I'm always turning it up. I'm not the sort of person to turn things down.
Nice.
So what took you? What was the brainchild behind SW4? I think it was Lock and Load Events back then, wasn't it?
That became Lock and Load Events after the first 2 years.
Right. Okay.
So Southwest 4 started in 2004.
Yeah.
So it's been going 16 years. So it's still going now.
Yeah.
And the backyard party was 2001.
Yeah.
And in 2001 we ended up in the Rock.
Yeah.
Which worryingly was a week after 9/11.
Right.
The first party. We didn't think anyone would turn up.
Right.
Thanks to Osama bin Laden, but we had a couple of really quiet hours.
Yeah.
Where you got the barman looking at his watch and the manager's ringing you every 10 minutes saying, "Have you promoted this?"
Yeah.
And then like 300 people flooded in, and we were able to do the next one, and the next one sold out like that.
Yeah.
It was a Saturday afternoon party.
Yeah.
Began, and we were once a month.
Yeah.
And then from there, that led us into the Rock was like a 600 cap kind of subterranean venue, beautiful venue actually.
Where are we talking in London?
It's at Embankment. You walk out of Embankment Tube Station, and you just where you're looking at the Thames. You just look to the left.
Yeah. Okay.
And you've got the Rock,
okay.
which is now called something else now.
Yeah.
But I guess the appeal. I mean, we were part of that frantic fever. What else? There was just so many parties, so many good. We were just another one that came along, but we had the mass of the crowd that came with us. We did things a bit differently, and I think one of the things that we did differently was we went to unique venues.
Yeah, okay.
We didn't do the Rock. You don't put hard dance in the Rock, and we had a waterfall in there. It was opened by Brad Pitt. So a very unique venue, and I had a couple of partners then, Adam Lloyd and Keno, Stephen Keane, who got us in there. So from the backyard, they said, "Do you reckon you could get this vibe and bring it to a club?"
Yeah.
And they showed us the club, and we were blown away because Hard Dance was in like the Fridge and 414, these really grotty venues. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with a dark dungeon. Yeah. But when they showed us this club, we were like, "We're going to fuck your club up." We're going to fuck your club up. Yeah. And the next thing was that they said, "Well, no, it's not a Saturday night. It's Saturday day." They just wanted another session.
Yeah.
They wanted to get revenue in.
Yeah.
And we were like, "Saturday afternoon." And then we're like, "Well, why is it any difference to the backyard party?" And so we promoted it accordingly.
Yeah.
And, we did I think 10 parties in there before we moved to Cannon Palace. Then we moved to Cannon Palace, and then from there we moved to Brixton Academy. And then, we did other venues and stuff. We did the Cross, Hard Dance wasn't in the Cross. And then from there it was probably the really big test was Brixton Academy, because that's 4,500 people. And you can't fuck that up.
No.
And the rent was insane. I mean, we were pretty green even by then. We didn't make any money until Camden. We made some money, and then we probably lost it the next party. Had no idea about stuff. We're paying too much for DJs. Still doing that to today. And also, just at the running of things, we were pretty green about that. And then Brixton, a mate Nathan, who now back in Brisbane, he introduced me to the manager of Brixton Academy. Yeah. And you have those moments in time where you're walking, you're on a call, and like a diamond bullet, it's like he said, "New Year's Eve's available," and I just said, "We're grabbing it. We're going to take it." Now, I think there was a party that had been in there. I don't want to speak badly of them, but they'd made a pig's ear of it. It had not worked. And I didn't know that when I'd said yes to it. And the rent was something like, I think it was about £17,000 just for the hire of the venue.
Right.
It was £17,000 to £20,000, and it was a lot of dough back then. We'd remortgage a house to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's commitment.
Yeah. We're pretty obsessed by it. and still obsessed today.
Yeah.
In a really unhealthy way.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, if that's your passion, if that's what you,
definitely.
if that's what you want to do. I mean, we love putting on parties.
Yeah. So you said earlier you love the Aussie rock music. So how did you get into hard dance? And why did you start hard dance events in London?
Yeah, so I was, I reckon I've got the Guinness Book of World Records for being in London and not going to a club. I was there for 6 years before I went to a club.
Wow.
For someone who does what I do, that's kind of like,
it's a bit weird,
I
yeah.
never checked it out. So my business partner, Anton, was just who I lived with. He's my business partner with the stuff that we do in London for the building development and that. He was just at me saying, you've got to check out this party at the Fridge called Escape from Samsara. And I was out on a work night with all the security guards and they were like, come on, we'll go to the usual shitbox pub and, listen to a band. I was like, no, I want to do something different. And I went down there and that was kind of that's what blew my mind. That opened me up to the whole scene. And it was the first time I saw electronic music. And Samsara had a legacy down there for about, I think, 8 years every Friday. With queues down the street. It was unbelievable. They'd let you in for free with a musical instrument. It was just madness. And we walked in there, it was just another world. Yeah. It was another world of music, energy, freedom of expression. It was madness. And I never I stepped forward and I never looked back.
Yeah.
So what was it that attracted you to the electronic music?
I remember I was standing there and there was a friend who's now back in Melbourne, Tim, and he's a rock and roll, he was trying to drag me out. And I was fascinated because at the Fridge, you used to have the DJ, there was a stage, but the DJ wasn't on the stage. Yeah. The DJ was kind of where the front of house is.
Yeah.
You had the DJ there playing and he's looking at the people who are on a stage, so the people on the stage and there's people in the pit. But the people in the pit aren't looking at the DJ. Because I think that all came in a bit later. The DJ was more about the energy. Rather than looking at a DJ, where now the DJ is this superstar, the people that were in the pit were looking at the people on the stage. It was like that.
Yeah.
The DJ's back here.
Yeah.
But it was just created this mad kind of energy.
Yeah.
And I was just obsessed by the fact that this guy was controlling them by the pinpoint of a needle on a record.
Yeah.
And it was mind blowing. I was just fixated on it. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like 1,600 people in there going mad. They used to have these mad special effects. They had a couple of lunatics working there doing all the fireworks and stuff. And it was a little bit more lawless back then as well.
Yeah.
With the SFX and everything. And just a very unique venue.
Is that what got you into DJing as well?
No, that came much later.
Yeah.
Much later, yeah. I promoted probably 2007, 2008. There was a guy, Trevor McLaughlin, who's still in London and he's got his own party now, OTT, and he's a really good trance DJ, plays a lot of stuff with Phil Reynolds and that sort of. They've got like a small like a heat party now happening, that happens in London for older people.
Nice.
More of a afternoon vibe.
Yeah.
From that, because that era still exists and it's still a very powerful form of music.
Yeah.
Which will be around for a long time, forever, I hope.
Yeah.
And so that came a lot later, and that's I think you get into DJing, you're experimenting. You love music.
Yeah.
You love you're choosing files. Your files being records, and you're playing something. You go to a house party or something, and you wanted to hear your music. That's how I got into it. But that came much later after the promoting.
Yeah.
So So you're pretty green. I'm getting the sense that you just kind of, fly by the seat of your pants kind of thing. So you've done New Year's Eve. That was obviously a success.
That went really well.
Yep.
That went really well. Yeah, we made money on it. Yeah.
And then did you carry on? Did you kind of do the smaller stuff, or was it just this kind of incremental? You just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and went, actually, we're now too big for venues. We've got to do something else.
It grew really quick,
Yeah.
and a lot quicker than the stuff I've done in Australia. It has taken, and what I find here is it just hits a brick wall. Maybe that's me. Maybe that's the music that I like. Maybe it's I can't convert with the people that are around me. Maybe because there's less people here. For whatever reason, it moved really quick. I mean, we went from 10,000 people, 2004, to 20 the next year.
Wow.
And then after 2 years, we formed the company, which was Lock and Load, and we were doing Southwest 4 on the Saturday, and the Sunday was a live music event with my business partner, Danny Newman, who's Tall Paul's brother, who ran Turnmills. So we were down, and so Heat UK had a residency at Turnmills. That's how I met Danny. And then Danny Newman was my partner in Lock and Load with Andrew Matley. And we were doing, so the Sunday was live music. And so that was, everything from the Happy Mondays to, Iggy Pop to loads of more that live element.
Yeah.
And then it was only later down the track that it became the whole weekend, because even the live stuff became electronic.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that live, of course, there's still guitar music. Of course there is. It's massive. But where we were where we were placed in London, it was easier for us to book a weekend of electronic music and make that work. And Danny's an incredible booker as well, because he was at Turnmills and we bounced off each other. And
I actually DJ'd at Turnmills the night before my wedding.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
wow.
It's my little claim to fame. Yeah, and I had to. So Teresa came along with me, but I had to DJ before midnight. So of course it was quite quiet.
Oh, okay.
Because then we didn't technically then see each other on the day we were getting married. So yeah. There you go.
There's a bit of history there.
I
mean, Turnmill's no longer there.
And it's no longer exists, absolutely.
It was one of the great clubs.
It's great. It's like a rabbit warren, wasn't it? It was so cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. I mean, I heard something that design was based on, the design that Alien had in the film. The metallic.
Yeah.
There was some thought behind that. But yeah, it was that metallic kind of just dark grime. You come down that stairwell, and you'd lose yourself, and where you'd end up.
It's very cool.
Yeah, everyone rammed in there. Used to love it. So you've played in the DJ booth where Tony DeVitt did his 12-hour set, and all these greats have played. Yeah. Tiesto and like Turnmills you had back in the day. Chemical Brothers had a residency there. They were weekly. People like that. Fatboy Slim playing in another room. And, weekly stuff. Those guys, that's where they cut their teeth. And look, going back to Danny, just a brilliant book and a real creative. It was just an amazing partnership.
So what makes a good booker?
Oh, look, I think he's somewhat like that. He's incredibly. His brother's Tall Paul. He's grown up in that club, and he used to say to me that. Go see his dad. He's a kid and he's trades on. He's got trade. He's got a club full of, there's a gay party there in full throttle. And there's Danny going to see his dad and think of his work experience, what he saw. There's this, one of the main clubs in London. That's what he grew up with, just seeing all of that. And then his brother was one of the biggest DJs in the world. So they had a studio out the back there.
Yeah.
And music's just around them. I think, booking, having music all around you, but at the end of the are you booking to get numbers? Yeah, sure, of course you are. But is there a thread behind your party? Is there a style to your party? Is there a voice? Is there, what are you? I mean, Heat UK, we're more hard trance than we were hard house.
Yeah.
Even though we kind of touched on both, but we probably weren't exposed to a lot of music at that point until I went to Ibiza, and then I kind of fell in love with house. Yeah. So then everything diversified.
Yeah. Well, when was the first year you went to Ibiza?
So that was, and
I'm assuming as a punter then, you weren't promoting parties then in Ibiza?
Well, it was about going to Ibiza. It was about going to Ibiza to take a group over there.
Right.
So it was I didn't want to go, and a really good friend, a real mentor and good friend, Kirk Field, who runs a company called Radical Escapes. He was badgering me one night you got to go to Ibiza, you've got to bring your Heat brand to Ibiza. And I was like, well, what do I want to go to that island for? What, I'm in London, it's charged enough here. It's like, no, take your brand to Ibiza. And so we started a trip called Ibiza Heat. And we started taking, I think the first trip we took 200 people to Ibiza.
Far out, okay.
Yeah, it was a group group. It was a lot of people. And, you're on an island with 200 people. It gets interesting.
Yeah.
You usually go to Ibiza, like you got your mate, you're 6 to 8 of you, you got your villa, or back then it was about cheap accommodation. We were doing it like, 200 quid flights and accommodation back then.
Wow.
And a couple of free club nights as well. But the thing we had the numbers.
Yeah.
So we did the first one, 200 people, and I remember there was people now coming and going, who's this guy that's brought 200 people to the island? And then we'd go out and do a recce trip.
Yeah.
So we'd go out there, we'd go and visit all the clubs and knock on doors and say, we've got 200 people.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, every club's going to bite your hand off.
Yeah.
And he'd done some previous trips, Kirk, out there. And I was like, no, I want to go to the best clubs. And so we went to Space. We literally went to Space. And we were sitting there waiting to meet Fritz. And I was drinking free water.
Wow.
And it's usually like, what, €15 or something?
At least.
And we got a meeting with Fritz. And he could see that we were chomping at it. We had the T-shirt with the Ibiza Heat written on it. We had all the people that had booked. We've got this many people. We want a shot on the terrace. And he gave us a terrace. We did a Heat UK party on the terrace at Space.
Wow.
Nice.
And again, another one that's no longer around.
No, Space still there.
Space.
Oh, no, Space is high.
Yeah.
It's high now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was, I love the terrace. I fell in love with, it was those trips where I fell in love with house music.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with those Balearic beats, and which has led to techno. That's where it all started, where I diversified. But it's great to put your party in there. Now I look back and I think a hard dance party on the Space Terrace doesn't kind of make a lot of sense, but it was a good party.
Yeah.
It was a great party. And, the other thing as a promoter, if you give, I wasn't DJing back then, was you're giving opportunities to these other DJs to play.
Yeah.
In Space,
Yeah.
and they've got that on their resume moving forward. So then the trip grew, and I think the most that we took was 500 people. Kirk does, fair play to him, he does bigger trips now. But we got to 500 something people. At one point there was like 100 people from Holland. It was getting mad. It was, you get the island, and the first 24 hours, everyone wants to knock themselves out. They're going mad for it. Because Ibiza's that place where the plane lands and people cheer.
Yeah.
It's like the end of the Star Wars movie, they've destroyed the Death Star. People cheer. You're like, well, we just landed on an island. It's just, they're raring to go. So we'd find that the first, and it would be how we'd program the week, because if we give them events for the first 2 days, and the big clubs that would get the people, that they're going to turn up the first 2 days, because there's going to be that lull where they dip.
Yeah, yeah.
Where they like day 3 or 4, there's going to be a lull. Then you've got to kind of bring them back up. We'd put the boat party like 3 or 4 days in, because you're out in the ocean and freshens you up. And it was a pretty dynamic week. I don't know how I did 10 years of it.
Yeah, Jesus, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been there over 30 times, which is not bad for someone that started, in his mid-30s.
Yeah, wow. Have you ever done the music conference in Miami?
No, I've never been. I never got there.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
Yeah, I heard that's wild, yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. Loads of pool parties, load of beach parties.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
I haven't done the Vegas thing. I never got to Miami, but it was just, I guess it was just too much on in London. There's a lot going on in there.
So when you're doing these events, what's you mentioned earlier on about, the balance between, I guess, educating the audience with someone new, maybe a fresh sound, fresh DJ, an up-and-comer. What's the balance between that and then actually booking a name to get the numbers in? Because obviously there's a massive amount of risk when you're running events. There's a big financial cost. How do you make that? What's the process of making that decision?
Well, you start with your budget, aren't you, of what you've got, and probably any favours that you've got as well.
Professional favours.
Well, not just that, but the connections you might have.
Yeah.
Because it's certainly especially back then, it was what I like about it now. Was back then it was you throw a good party. We know that you deliver. We want our artists to play with you, and you have this relationship with agents.
Nice.
Well, now it's just the money. Everything's just the money, and that's what I don't like about the scene now. It's just become the artists are getting so much more than that. You can't make it. Well, I don't think you can make it work. There's people making it work, but I think it's very hard to make it work when your costs have gone just through the roof. Absolutely through the roof. They've gone up like 1,000%. It's crazy.
Wow. So when was the golden era for you?
Well, for me personally, there's a couple actually, because I think that if you were into that, the way when I started that, when I first went clubbing, wherever you kind of land is, if you've had a great experience with it, you're going to say is some kind of golden era, isn't it? Because you're always going to find good parties if you're savvy enough. But because we started with that really fast BPM, because it's the most explosive, isn't it? It's here in Australia with DEFCON.
Yeah.
Australia's the second biggest home for hardstyle.
Yeah.
after
After
Holland,
Netherlands.
which
Yeah.
I'm just fascinated by. That, and I mean, you go out there and the age of the people is 18 to 21.
Yeah.
That's it. And they're just getting that blast. And it's not my code. But for all those, the 35,000 people go to it, that is that's their religion.
They love it.
Code, religion, whatever you want to call it. So, but when I came out and I was into the hard dance and the trance and, the Paul Van Dyke and all that era from 98 through to 2006 was magic. There was a point there
Fantastic.
there was a point there in London where you go out on a Friday and Saturday nights and you'd have Escape from Samsara, the fridge would be full. You'd have Fever with the sound shaft would be full, which was such a cool club. That sort of side area to Heaven.
Yep.
Heaven would have something on. You'd have you had the Gallery, which was pretty much trance, which was every Friday, still going, which we did to have ministry every week. It's 25 years it's been going for. You would have Cannon Palace would be full. So a Friday, Saturday, I'm talking weekly. That sound was in 4 or 5 big clubs, and then you'd have the big Brixton Academies where it would come together. Where Frantic was doing massive parties. I mean, it was a pretty unique era, and then it kind of fell away. Well, people just just like with music, people just go into another code, and then I think house was around, but it wasn't around for me.
Yeah.
It's been around for years, but then that exploded for me. Well, probably my eyes opened to it as well. And from there it's gone, for me, it's gone house, tech house, techno. I mean, there's just so many codes of it, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. So what's the favorite, your favorite party or the best party that you've thrown in your eyes?
Well, there was the heat parties. It was always, I really liked the ones which were, you thought you wouldn't pull it off.
Yeah.
Even taking it back to the second backyard party.
Yeah. I had a feeling it's that. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like there was a vibe there.
Yeah.
I'm just looking back and going, wow, you pulled that off. Or the first party at the Cross is pretty incredible. We did a party at Pasha that was pretty cool. When to take that sort of style of music to a club and to set the first Brixton Academy and to sell it out. So you're watching an amazing party and you've made money because it's very easy to lose money in this game. And you've something that people said you couldn't do because there was a lot of people, I think, that used to turn up to see you fail as well. And so, I'm not trying to talk negative the scene, but there was a lot of because you're coming through and there's other people that have parties and stuff like that. But it was pretty good, pretty good scene, and there was a lot going on there. And then I thought the travel component to the events that we did in Ibiza were really cool. Something different. But then obviously the festival, to do a festival and to sell at a festival is an incredible feeling. And it's diversified and I'm no longer a part of it. And I look at it and I just think that those guys are just great operators.
Yeah. So like a big festival, so your SW4 and stuff like that, when does planning start for that? Like how does it happen? Like there's a lot of stuff that must go on.
Yeah.
It must be a big team. And
yeah, you're on it all year. Our team in Sydney is much smaller than the one that was in London, but the one in London wasn't that big either. It was probably about 12 people, 10 to 12 people. There'd be some interns.
I was going to say, are they employed or are they doing because they love it? So
they love it. Everyone in there loves it.
Yeah,
everyone loves it.
But that's
and everyone loves what they do. Everyone like even Andrew was on production. He loves what he does. He's passionate. Danny with the bookings. Rupert used to sit next to me. Jeff, who did all the press, who sat across from me, was just such a workhorse. They're just such good people. And people would walk in the office, and this happens in Sydney. They walk in, they go, "Is this it? Is that it?" And we were doing a lot of stuff. There was big stuff in London. Yeah. And even in Sydney, but you're starting on it's a year's work.
Yeah.
You're thinking about the next one before it's happened.
Yeah.
Before you've even done the last one. And planning and thinking, we could book that guy, or we could do this differently, or whatever. It's a real process.
Yeah. So who comes up with the bookings of the artists? Do you like?
Well, in London it was Danny, and he helped it diversify.
Yeah.
He really did, because I was we used to bounce off each other in a brilliant way. And over here, I've done the bookings for Electric Gardens, and I've had the help from a few people as well. You have to have a team of people that are on it.
Yeah,
really.
definitely.
Because it's not just about me. It's about other people as well. It's also, especially Australia being so far away, it's also about who you can get.
Yeah.
Because we are the other end of the world, and
it's a lot more expensive to book an artist here.
Yeah, it is. It can be pretty crippling, which I kind of get because they're going to come out here. But I think promoters have been getting ripped off. We pay way too much for artists because they come in through Asia and then they just see Australia as like they're coming in and it's a cash grab, and they can get it. They can get it. I don't know if COVID's going to sort that out or whether there's going to be any kind of reboot, but it is really hard for promoters to put parties on in Australia.
So what do you think moving forward with COVID that's just sort of dawned upon us? They're talking about festivals now, music festivals, outdoor festivals. That's going to be almost a thing of the past. Do you think that's a thing, or
nobody
do you
knows.
think it's going to be different?
Well, nobody knows. I think that's the most fascinating thing about COVID is no one knows. We've never in our lifetimes been here.
The page was ripped out.
Yeah. So where's it going to go from here? And it's just, I think at the moment it's just a lot of speculation, and there's a lot of conspiracy crap and just.
I've made this heaps of it.
It's funny because as soon as I saw that they were taking stuff down off YouTube, I thought, you're going to put petrol on the fire. All this 5G and that, because you censor as soon as you start censoring people.
Exactly.
It's just like what's going on in Hong Kong with China and all of that. As soon as you start, the people can't talk, but people talk a lot of crap as well.
Oh yeah.
And so there's all that floating about. But will it go back to normal? I think it will. Will stuff change? I hope so. But I think that I don't know how much that's going to change. I think that there's going to be, who knows? It might just keep flaring up. And are they going to find is there a cure for it? Maybe not. The people don't know.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that Electric Gardens is not happening next year. And I've got a venue booked for a New Year's party, which is like 2,000 caps sort of thing. Do I think that'll happen? It might not. I've moved Basement Jack's, Roger Sanchez shows to a year away. With I'm doing some of them with Rod Richards, who I do a lot of parties with here in Sydney, and I was gunning for November, and Rod was like, no, we should go, let's go a year. And I was like, well, we're just going to get mass refunds because we're just getting hammered by refunds. And not that many people refund. We moved it for a year away, March and April, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So everyone's got a different story. I don't know when they're going to be able to open the gates for international travel. I'm hoping that they can get a test, and rather than you have to sit 14 days somewhere, they just give you a test and they go, well, you don't have it. You haven't got it.
Yeah,
so off you go.
Do you think this will see like another resurgence of local acts? So we could, if our borders are closed and no international artists are allowed to come in, should we have a local party?
Well, I hope so. I hope so. I hope that fires up again.
Are you going for a gig?
I don't think he knows yet. It's coming.
Look, I hope so. And, I think the whole thing needs a reboot, to be honest. I think Sydney needs a major kick in the arse.
Yeah, it needs a proper boot.
It's just crap, isn't it? It should be a 24-hour city. But how do you feed the local scene of musicians? This just isn't about DJs. It's about bands.
Yeah.
It's about musicians, about roadies, about the whole thing. How do you feed that if there's no clubs?
I think it's going to change now because we need another economy. So a nighttime economy is what we need right now. So I think as soon as all this shit is over, I think clubs and stuff will, the lockout laws and everything, I think they're just going to be completely laxed because we're desperate. We're desperate for money.
Well, the nighttime economy is 16 billion for here. 16 billion, and they got rid of it for 4 or 5 years. What was the thought behind that? They'd like that money now, wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
So it took them a pandemic to think, we should open this up.
Yeah.
Open it up.
Isn't it Holland that has a nighttime mayor? So they've got their own mayor for nighttime, like a nighttime economy. Yeah. And we need that here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the arts just gets crucified.
Yeah, big time.
And people go, the arts, just give it, people talk down to the arts.
Yeah.
And then they turn on their car radio and they hear a music. Well, where the fuck do you think that comes from?
Exactly. Pull your head in.
Where is that coming from? How is that being made? They're not getting money from streaming, I can tell you that much. They're getting made from money from live performance. And the way it is at festivals, the Australian Festival Association put out some stats recently, which was, let me think, there was 13.5% of live music, of people that watch live music came from festivals. And
Wow.
yeah, and the I Lost My Gig the I Lost My Gig, people that wrote in, there was 12,000 people that wrote in about loss of income, something like 300 million from this COVID. But the government won't even look at it, because they just want people tucked up in bed at 10 p.m. They want people sitting around talking about their fucking coffee and finger food, and it's just bullshit. It's like there's other stuff in life, and I'm not saying that everything has to be a fucking rave, but
That'd be good.
There's other stuff in life that needs to be nurtured, and to say that music, film, look at film. The film industry has been devastated by it. It's art, and turn your TV on. It's film. It's where everyone's sitting around watching Netflix. It's film. Everyone's been devastated by this. You need to feed the arts.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand why it's this separate kind of industry that's not nurtured here. Yeah, that's my rant.
I think it makes sense. I mean,
totally agree.
It's. I think most of the DJs earn their money and artists earn their money through touring, right? Because there's not much in streaming. You're not buying a physical record anymore for $7-8 or $20, and there's not that much. In an MP3, I think you get probably get like a few points of a cent. So
it's not much.
How are they surviving? Apart from probably slowly going a little bit nuts. A mate of mine, he's in. You heard of Factor B?
Oh yeah,
Brendan Blatt. So he's from Melbourne but living in Amsterdam, and he's just producing. He's just producing all the time. So hopefully we can get him out and
that's probably the positive.
See him play, right?
That's the positive to come out of this is that there's going to be a lot of people sitting in studios producing music.
Yeah.
There's all that'll be sitting there for when we go.
Yeah.
But when we go, what's that going to look like?
Yeah. Yeah. You were pretty active on the kind of the Sydney lockdown side of things as well, weren't you? Yeah, well, the Keep Sydney Open anyway.
I'm not political in the slightest. Read the paper kind of thing and watch the news, but I had to speak out, and it's self-interest, sure, because it affects my industry.
Well, it's how you pay. That's how you put food on the table.
You just can't sit back and watch this, just the destruction of what it used to be, and it's got to a point now where there's kids that don't remember what that Sydney was like back when, there was clubs that were open and you could go and have a beer at 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
Why can't I do that? Why can't I go and have a beer at 3 or 4 in the morning? I don't get it. I just don't get it. Mate picks me up from the airport. No, there's nothing open.
Yeah, exactly. It's embarrassing when you have international travellers coming over. It's like, let's go somewhere. No,
they're scratching their heads.
You can't go anywhere.
And the great venues that have folded and the pressure that they're under. Yeah. Venues that it costs a lot of money to look after a venue.
Space, yeah.
Yeah. So look, I have been, and I've, the other night I asked a question on Q&A, and I fill out all the forms. I've written to every politician. I mean, they come back with a template, and look, I understand there was this crisis moment where they would have been just bombarded with their inboxes, but they come out with a template. This has been written by some interns, written it for them to come back because they want my vote. It's crap. It's like, do something about it. They're jogging around stuff and it's not being dealt with. There's no one that's dealing with the arts. There's no one sitting there that's fighting for it. I mean, Tony Burke, I think he gave a great speech. His opposition gave a great speech about it. How it's suffering. I saw that earlier on, but you don't, and it is out there. You see it, but it's just swept away.
Yeah.
And I think that's detrimental to our culture.
Definitely.
How many of these artists do you keep in contact with?
Do you mean from
just? I mean, do they turn into friends? Because I know you have quite similar ones. I mean, what's that kind of relationship, or is it all mainly with the management?
Yeah, I'm not really the type to, text John Digweed or something like that. I've got his email, but I wouldn't, I just, if someone's out, or, if I saw Carl go up and say hello to him, I wouldn't, I don't really badger artists or anything. I'd never, and I go through the right channel to do a booking as well. I don't, can you do this for me as a because there is no favours anymore. This is, it's just money. Yeah. And, I'm sure it comes down to, the gigs that they want to play as well. But, when you see them out and that, always say hello, but it's not really, so I have my own circle of friends, really.
Yeah, fair play. Fair play. And who was the first, have you ever had an artist that you booked and you don't have to name names, that they didn't match what you wanted them to do from an expectation, or that, they either went, wow, that's incredible, or you were like, oh, geez, I shouldn't have, won't be bringing them on again?
I'd have to have a good think about that. Look, I'm sure there probably was, but usually I was booking people that I respected a lot, who I thought could do the business, and I'd seen them play. Yeah. I'd seen them play a lot, and usually they surpass what I, what I would even expect. Yeah. Or they're very capable of the way they play, because they're professional.
Yeah.
And these days they're turning up and you're paying for a tour manager, and they're line testing, and they've got their memory stick, they've got their laptop, and everything has to be plugged in. It's got to be all seamless, and there's meetings before about the changeover of equipment, and back in my day it was you just come and mix in,
Yeah. Grab a record. That's it.
Yeah, you just mix in off the next guy, and I like that. Yeah. I really like that. I'm old school like that. But there's great artists out there. It's probably easier for the ones that surpass and the ones that fall short. But yeah, there's a few that fall down. But usually, touch wood, I've caught it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've done the business.
Some very strange artists out there that you've booked, or like weird writer sort of requests.
No, much selfish writers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, load of champagne, load of whores, a jet, that sort of thing.
A jet. You can order a jet on your rider.
I just get jets, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's part of their...
I only got a fridge with a couple beers. I'm going to speak to my tour manager.
The top end guys, the top end guys want a jet, can't travel. I can't get on a plane to go from Sydney to Melbourne. I have to have a jet. I mean, it's a lot of crap, isn't it? But and the particular artist who I'm talking about, no one would recognise him. Very few people would recognise him as well. And you're paying, there's $10,000.
Yeah.
10 to maybe more, maybe $15,000 to get him from Sydney to Melbourne. What is that, an hour on a plane?
Fucking what?
And there's all that sort of crap. But look, I don't think it's, real excess is rock and roll, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the stories about Led Zeppelin and all of that. But there's still excesses in, people turning up with their entourage or artists turning up at the gate, and they've got 20 people that are not on the guest list. That's 20 people you're paying for, and then they're all on stage and they're all swanning around on stage, and they're taking your drinks and that sort of crap. There's plenty of that goes on.
Yeah. So
there's excesses, but you can maintain it. Look, I want people to have a good time as well. And sometimes I let a lot of that roll, but like if it's a good friend or something like that, you've got a good relationship with them, you'll let a certain amount of it roll. But you've got to nip it in the bud if it gets out of hand.
So who's the most expensive artist you've ever sort of had on?
It's most expensive. Paid a lot for Eric Prince. A lot of dough for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a lot of money. And he doesn't fly either.
Yeah, I heard that. Can you say how much, or rather keep it?
7-digit. Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Whoa.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Especially when you're paying Aussie dollars as well.
Yeah, it was a lot of dough, and the problem with Eric, if he's watching, is that he doesn't fly, does he?
Mm.
He doesn't fly. Lovely guy, but he also had a bus to get around. As well.
So around Australia?
Yeah. He won't get on planes,
right.
So you had to do the gigs to get him from this port to that port.
Right.
So that bus trip from Brisbane to Perth must have been one hell of a...
Oh, wow.
I think that would have been the straw that broke the camel's back. And he played a 3-hour set in Perth as well. I think that would be life-changing to do that. I think he sent out a tweet, or he sent something out saying that basically, Perth, I'm not going to be back for a long time, because he was so broken from the journey.
Yeah. So, out of interest, how and I don't have a fear of flying. How would one fly from the US to Australia and then not be open to flying around Australia?
Well, I think it's more a case of, I don't have fear of flying, but I think it's more a case of lessening the flying that he does.
Right, okay.
So, I think he gets, proper doped up before he jumps on from LA and I had dinner when he landed.
Yeah.
He's a great guy, and they're a great team. And you know, I can't talk ill of him because he's incredible artist.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, his music is just the next level. I think that when we brought him out, he wasn't appreciated the way he is now, and probably to make the dollars and cents, because we just don't have the population to bring his show out here. It doesn't make sense to do that in Australia. Yeah. So, you put that in Perth, you're going to be, there's a lot of risk with it. But his whole show and his team, what they're producing and what he does under his alias, Cyrus D, is incredible.
Yeah, love that.
Truly incredible. As a musician, he's just unbelievable. Yeah.
He's got quite a few aliases.
Yeah.
Is he still doing stuff under Preda as well?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, on that as well, so he obviously does massive production for his shows. You've got things like Tomorrowland. I think Dance Valley was back in the day. You mentioned DEF CON earlier on. How important is the production piece, outside of obviously a decent sound system, but I guess the theatre of a festival or a gig, I know when we were running digital therapy back in the day, we had to make a bit of a decision where it was, do we invest a lot of money into the production piece, or do we just keep it in small nightclubs, keep it local with the occasional international? Like it's another league, right?
Yeah.
Is that a deal breaker?
Well, I think with festivals, people have come to expect it.
Yeah.
They've your stock standard stage and all of that. Now they go and they see Tomorrowland, they see all of that. So the bar's been raised on everything, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And then you've got artists that insist on a certain level of production, like above and beyond, and they've got X amount of the VJ screen has to be as big as the arena itself and all that thing. And then you've got artists that will actually chip in and pay for it. You'll have a certain budget for them,
right? Okay,
and then they'll put money on top because they want a certain look to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Or maybe there's a deal that's been done where the deal's been structured that they get 80% of the profit and the promoter gets 20%, something ridiculous like that.
Right. Okay.
And so they're getting all the money. I mean, the argument is that they're selling all the tickets, but there's a lot of risk with that.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, even with clubs, the production's stepped up massively.
Yeah.
Hasn't it? And, they want a certain look and equipment. I mean, everything's gone up, but, you've got there's a how long's a piece of string? There's a breaking point, isn't there, where your budget just can't take it anymore. You've only got so much. I mean, we would sell the tickets and then, how much have we got to spend on that extra stage or that extra pyro or that extra?
Yeah. What was the brainchild with Electric Gardens?
So Electric Gardens was a event that we actually did in the UK.
Right, okay.
Yeah, under a good friend of mine, Marcus Wallace, who, so it was the name comes from a Pink Floyd concert that happened in Pompeii, I believe.
Right,
and we just like the name.
Yeah.
We like the name. We did it on this estate in the UK at Lock and Load. It was amazing. I mean, I think Calvin Harris played for £5,000.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, it was back then in the day. And what does he earn now? Yeah, a lot. When we came back here, we wanted to just continue the name. We liked that. We thought it was a good name for a festival.
Yeah.
And the club shows that I was doing here just kind of, let's go. It's time to do a festival in Australia and adopt that name. Yeah.
Okay. And how did you find, was there much of a difference coming back to Australia and starting up a festival? And is there a difference in scenes? What's the comparison?
Oh, it's incredibly different.
Yeah.
I think it's a parallel universe, really.
What's different about it?
Less people. I think that really cripples the scene. Governments that don't really nurture it. Like if you think of the UK, they've had 30 years of club culture.
Yeah.
It's just ingrained in them. The amount of people I used to meet that their dad taught them how to play vinyl. Stuff like that. They grew up with either house or bass or. So that club culture was there. They've got there's Ibiza on their doorstep. There's where the whole of Europe's flying to it. You know what I mean? You got Germany. What's Germany? 80, 90 million people. France, the same. There's just these mass populations, and do you know what? They're all into it.
Yeah.
They are all into it. There's electronic music is booming. It is not going anywhere. If you're listening to rock, it's probably being EQ'd by someone who's in electronic music or some producer that does electronic music. It's not going anywhere. So coming back here, it was I found that I was hitting a lot of walls. A lot of it was very hard to get the venues that I wanted. I looked at every blade of grass to do a rave.
Yeah, okay.
I would walk into a room, to a venue, and I'd just see the speakers, I'd see the DJ, I'd say, right, I want to do a rave. And then you'd speak to the authorities, you'd speak to, you just start getting brick walls.
It's just too hard.
It's just like, oh, God, come on. I go to carriage work, so can we do we only do 2 parties here. Oh, God. And then you get police costs.
Yeah.
Like, police costs? What? Police costs for what? What for? What?
Yeah.
Well, the people having a party, you're going to, it's just, it's just this kind of dictatorship. I really, obviously I can't speak badly enough about the process here because I can't stand it. I don't. And I think that it needs to be reviewed and need to fucking get rid of it.
Yeah.
Just fucking get rid of it and put the onus on personal responsibility. People's personal responsibility. And that's, the amount of, my police bill was, they tried to put it up 70% for electric gardens. 70% they tried to put it up this year. And then we met with the police and we said, why has it gone from $45,000 to $80,000? So for $70,000, whatever it was. It was 75% or what it was. And this is the stock standard for this size festival. This is how many people, and that's the cost. I was like, what? Like, what are you going on about? And then I'm paying $80,000 for the security.
Yeah.
So, do the maths. It's a lot of money before you've even built a fence, before you've even done traffic management, before you've even booked an artist, you've even built a stage. It's just absolutely crippling.
Yeah.
And Centennial Park's not cheap.
No, I wouldn't imagine it would be.
It's not cheap. And they're charging you every day. They're charging you, trucks pulling up, building fences, and there's just some murderous financial stories I could tell you about trying to make that thing work, which would probably scare the shit out of anyone that's tuning into your show.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one anyway. Fuck it. I had to find $150,000 in 90 minutes, and I didn't have it. I think I had 30, but I had to go out there in Morello, and so there was no money, and I was literally given 90 minutes. Otherwise, Electric Gardens Sydney Centennial Park was over.
Wow.
It was over. And if you think about scrambling, think about your friends who you can ring to get $150,000 off.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard. And I rang 2 people and said, can I get the money off you? And they are just like, hey, our money's in shares. We don't have that kind of money sitting around the bank.
Yeah, exactly.
But I need it now. It now. And the third person, I got lucky.
Wow.
I got lucky and I was able to, and the show continued. But if that had fallen, then the whole tour would have, because it was not just Electric Gardens, it was Fatboy Slim and every other state. The whole thing would have collapsed.
Yeah.
So, and so these costs are they're through the roof, and the pressure that promoters have. People probably don't hear those stories.
Yeah.
People just think I drive a Mazda 3, mate. I've got a child, and I've got a pretty humble kind of house for as much as I work. There's no Ferrari.
Yeah.
And so I don't think people realise the risk that goes into those kind of the back end risk of the costs and the leading into an event, because you've got money coming out of your account because the production's happening.
Yeah.
I think it was like 14 days leading into Electric Gardens. 12 of those days I had to fight $100,000. It's just coming out of your account, and you're trying to pay other people as well. Mm-hmm. So it's an expensive game, and if you're not selling the tickets as well, you've got a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
you can be a lot of pain, and I think I can speak for a lot of Australia and people in events that have come through this before Corona, because the bushfires obviously affected people.
Yeah.
The January we couldn't sell tickets because of the bushfires, and there was still Corona was lurking then as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Just sort of kind of lurking around in the background, and that was affecting us as well.
Yeah.
Because as much as it hadn't full blown,
it
was kind of in the back. People were starting to get a bit nervous about it.
Yeah.
And then we had the floods. Well, there was the floods that hit. We had 2 storms in the 10 days leading into Electric Gardens that could have cancelled the event. And so, and I'm not just talking for me, but promoters around the country would have felt that.
Yeah.
Farmers, we've come out of a and then we come out of it and we get COVID hits.
Yeah.
How do you it is what I'm trying to say, what do you do what do you do to relax, man? Like, I mean, it's a year process. There's so many moving parts. I mean, yeah, I ran as you know, we ran digital therapy for 7 years. It was a monthly event. That was stressful enough as it was, and we didn't have all the moving parts that you guys had. How do you relax? Like, what is the post when everything's paid, everything's done? Do you have a couple of days just to kind of come down and just meditate? Do you listen to ocean waves? Like, what do you do?
Stones across a pond. Yeah. Well, look, when the event is over, that's like it's a decompression zone in itself.
Yeah.
Just that it's over.
Yeah.
Because leading into it, you're just working mad hours, and you're trying to sell the tickets. So you're trying to make things work. You're trying to make sure things don't fall over.
Sounds stressful.
Yeah. And London was. I look back at London. London was really a walk in the park.
Yeah.
Well, we worked hard there, but it was a walk in the park compared to here and what we've had to face here. But yeah, my thing will be, music and to chill out. I could do with a good holiday, and there hasn't been a lot of that, obviously, with what's happened. I think everyone can do with a good holiday. I think it's affected a lot of people. I'm more concerned about people's mental health. And
Same.
I've seen, I'm pretty strong in that department. Touch wood, but lost a really good friend, Paul Strange, who was really big on the scene this year. He tapped out, and it was just so tragic. And what this is doing to people's mental health is my concern, because I think that we've hit 100 people, haven't we, here in Australia? We're so isolated. We're the last we're the first to get rid of it, and hopefully things will fire up. But kind of like the last to get it, weren't we? With the amount of Chinese here, I thought it was going to really blow up, but they've knocked it on the head. But how that is affecting people's mental state is concerning.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
But yeah. So, just the simple things, man. Just fucking get down the beach. Just go with my boy, or just hit the beach. I've got great group of friends, and get on the balcony and just play some tunes. And
brilliant.
I mix music. I play. It's good to. I think it's really therapeutic to DJ.
Yeah, of course.
I really miss being I really miss playing.
Yeah.
Really miss that.
Yeah,
and
so do I.
love to have a good Netflix binge on a good show, and just and exercise and routine.
So I got to ask, have you kept flyers from all your parties?
Yeah, man.
Yes.
I've kept a lot. There's a lot that have gone missing, but I've got a box full of them, and
Nice.
I've got going back to that group, the Lockdown Legends. Which has been started by a good mate of mine in New Zealand. There's 10,000 people on this platform now. People have just jumped on, and they've just regurgitate all the memories are going up. And the old, because back then it was throwaway cameras and people didn't have their iPhones.
Yeah.
So the photos are pretty crappy. It's got that.
I love that grain.
It's got that grain, hasn't it? Yeah, it's got that grain to it. And people are putting up those photos, because now you can just put them.
Is this a Facebook group?
Yeah, it's a Facebook group. Yeah,
I think I'm part of it, to be honest.
I'm giving it a massive plug because it deserves it. It's got the amount of the people that are writing on there about the fridge, Escape from Samsara, about all the old club nights. They're throwing up flyers, and the videos are all a bit wishy-washy as well from back there, from the old phones. And people say that was why that era was so good, because people weren't doing selfies. People were in the now. They were in the moment, and the parties were so good. And I think it'd be hard to repeat that energy again. But I've kept a lot of stuff. I'm pretty nostalgic like that.
Yeah, good.
Who would you so let's say you've got a gig tomorrow, you're playing, who would you want to play alongside if you could have anybody? So if you could do like an open to close back to back with someone, who would it be?
Oh God, well, I'd probably just choose a mate, to be honest.
Yeah,
someone
you got a good rapport with.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys I play with. Like Julian Lacey, or maybe Trent Hadid, who I'm producing a track with at the moment.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Done my first art track with him, and we finished it last night, actually.
Ableton Pro Tools, what do you use?
Ableton.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. It's a remix of a hard dance track.
Nice.
from Nick Sendience and Phil Reynolds from back in the
Yeah.
day. But it's done as techno. It's a techno tune.
Yeah.
And we're pretty pleased with that. So I'd probably play with something like that because I remember I had a DJ come up to me and he's like, you got to book me back to back with Carl Cox. And I'm like, man, you don't want to go near that guy when he's mixing because he's going to wreck you.
Yeah, big time. Yeah.
You know, you're not going to be able to keep up, mate.
Yeah, it's like jumping in a ring with Tyson.
Oh, mate, you don't want to go near that.
No way.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm not going to choose to play next to, any of those pros out there because that's why they're where they are at. They're on that.
He's been DJing longer than I've been alive.
Yeah. They're gods at it.
Yeah.
So it would be someone that I've had great synergy with.
Fair play. Awesome. Fair play. So what's the production side of things looking like? Is that something you're going to do more of?
It was because of this, really.
Yeah.
Because it was free time and I've always wanted to do it, wanted to jump in and do it. And so we just sit there and we've done, I think we did about 17, maybe, I reckon it's more like 20 sessions on the track.
Nice.
It takes a while and it opens you up to music, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It opens you up
definitely
to
does. The programming side of it.
all the different sounds and stuff like that. So it's been a real process. And been interesting to see. I go whether the track gets signed or where it goes from here. I think the important thing was just to finish it.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to do a tune?
I'm going to knock one out in a couple of days now.
Yeah. Fair play. Fair play.
What do you use?
Ableton as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the guy the trend I'm doing it with, I think he wants to move to Logic because there was so many parts to it. It was starting to crash.
Yeah.
But,
I found Logic illogic.
Oh really?
Sorry, Apple.
But yeah, it's great, isn't it? It's great to what you start with and when you come out with.
Yeah, definitely. It's great to see the building blocks and how you put it together. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, not a lot of money in it. There's no money in it.
Nothing.
And that's what's creatives, isn't it?
Nothing. Yeah, every time you get that royalty check, whoa, I think I'm almost up to a bottle of whiskey now.
Have you had much stuff signed?
A couple of tracks.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
We'll exchange later.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
That's what the scene's about.
Yeah, new things, so COVID brought that about, really.
Yeah.
So, it was like, okay, there's time. Let's use the time.
Fair play. Yeah. So what's what are you planning next? So you say you push back EG.
Yeah. So look, I've got those Electric Gardens won't happen next year because of this.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of shows booked in for next summer, and they've all been cancelled. So it's all the shows were cancelled. Everything for 2020 was cancelled, and promoters have been getting mass refunds as well. They had to deal with that.
Yeah.
We pretty much went out and said we can only do credit notes, or just like an airline, you'd go to bankruptcy. We've moved the Basement Jack shows to March, April, whether they happen. I've got venues booked for New Year's, which will be locals.
Yeah.
And just kind of just sitting back and waiting for the green light, really. Just watching it. I think everyone's on pause, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely.
Fair play. So where can people see the green light when it goes off, mate? What's have you got Facebook page, Instagram? Where can they follow you, find out what's going on?
So there's T1000 Events, which is my company. There's Electric Gardens, which is the festival. And there's Damian Gelle on Facebook, and DJ Montana is the alias.
Nice.
Is the DJ component. And that's where you find me.
Nice. Awesome. All right, man. Well, look, I think we should wrap it up. Thank you very much for coming
guys.
in and chatting to us.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
All the best.
Stay safe.
Yeah, thanks, boys.
Peace.
Take care.